All right, this week is something I'm really enthusiastic about because I did it in a big way when I was losing a mass amount of weight. I lost 123 pounds in 13 months. And this really played into it, and I thought it would be something that was really, really tough to do, and in all fairness, it wasn't. And I grew to love it, and I've studied it. I've studied under Dr. Jason Fung, who has written the Diabetes Code, the Obesity Code, and a great book on intermittent fasting. So we're going to talk about meal timing and intermittent fasting this week, and there's just so many great benefits involved with this. And again, you need to make sure you're doing this hand in hand with a medical professional, as with all of these lessons, as we go along. So we're going to talk in this week in lesson 1, we're going to talk about the science behind meal timing and insulin sensitivity. All right. So what is intermittent fasting? 12-12. We can just start with something really easy. And as we go along, I'm going to let you know what I did along the way. And this worked really, really well for me. But we're going to start with 12-12. So what does that mean and how does it work? The role of meal timing in insulin regulation and blood sugar stability, right? Don't forget, when we eat, our body releases insulin into ourselves so that we can manage our, blood sugar. So you have to keep that in mind when we're talking about meal timing. And then how fasting periods allow the body to reset and improve metabolic health. So many positive things on this. So why? So constant snacking and late night eating keep insulin levels high, making it harder to reverse diabetes. When you're constantly got insulin pumping through you, it makes reversing this a lot tougher. And if you have been ever a fan of bodybuilding, they talked about 5-6 meals a day. Well, that's great for a bodybuilder who's trying to get bigger. We're not trying to get bigger. We're doing the opposite, right? And many of us, and especially those who have been on insulin, I gained almost 200 pounds on almost over 7,000 units a month on insulin. It's a hormone that tells our body to store fat. So when there's nowhere else for that blood sugar to go, it starts storing everything in your midsection, and that's hence the weight gain. I've lost 175, but still, it's not a journey I recommend for anybody. So fasting for 12 hours gives the body time to burn stored glucose and improve insulin sensitivity. So studies show how fasting can reduce inflammation, promote fat loss, increase energy levels, because you're going to be running on ketones. It's a myth that your body needs carbohydrates to operate, and they talk about your brain and stuff. You can run just fine on ketones as well, and so many people do. So let's dispel that myth right here and now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick a 12-hour eating window that fits your lifestyle. In other words, depending on what your work schedule is, pick a 12-hour eating window. So it might be, you might be eating from 8 in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. So you want to eat all your meals within that time. There's a lot of different ways to fast. You might do an 8-hour eating window where you eat during 8 hours. So maybe it's like you skip breakfast and you have lunch and dinner. You want to have it all done between noon and 8 o'clock at night. That leaves you 16 hours to fast. Now remember, when you sleep, you're fasting. So, be smart about it, and you can work those numbers in. So you pick, just for starters, just to get the party started, let's go with a 12-hour eating window. So if it's 8 to 8, 9 to 9, whatever it might be, I think the earlier the better. The earlier you eat before you go to bed, I think is really, really good. So stop eating at least 3 hours before bed. So if you're doing 9 to 9, that would indicate that you're going to bed at midnight, because your last meal, if you're finished by 9, not starting it at 9, but finished by 9. So keep that in mind. And you want to stay hydrated with with water, herbal tea, black coffee during fasting hours. So let me walk you through, since we're kicking this off, what I used to do. I used to do 2 40-hour fasts a week, and I used to do a 20-hour fast in the middle of the week. Now it sounds like a lot, but think about this. I would start the fast, I'd have dinner on Sunday, I would go all the way through Monday, and then a Tuesday at noon, I would have my lunch. So that is a 40-hour fast. And I didn't start off with a 40-hour fast. I started off with a 16, I did the 16 and 8 routine, and I found it easy. Then I went to 18 and so on and so forth. Now, when I did my fast, I did it so I didn't stimulate insulin in my body. So what's that mean? That means I would use a bulletproof coffee in the morning, and that is a coffee with MCT oil and butter and heavy cream. And those are just fats, so they're not going to stimulate insulin. And at the start, I would use bone broth. The same thing with bone broth. It won't stimulate insulin. It won't raise your blood sugar. And that's what I was looking for, to see if my blood sugar would go up. Now, I did all the experiments. I used to track my ketones. You know, you prick your finger to see your blood sugar? Well, I used to do it with ketones and see where my ketones were. Ideally, I wanted to be above 1 and somewhere between 1 and 3, and then I would know. Now, in the middle of that fast, again, to go back and talk about energy and such, I would do a workout Monday night, and I had great workouts because my body was running on ketones. Now, I tried to do 72-hour fast. I could do them, no problem. However, I work out hard and heavy, and the 72-hour, the first workout will be great, but my second workout, it was always like a leg day, which is a huge workout for me, and I didn't quite have the energy on that one, so I stuck with the 40 hours, and I did it at, the first one started on Sunday, and then I did it again at the end of the week. It was so easy for me, and I picked up a lot of time on my work schedule too, because I didn't have to worry about doing things. If I wanted something through the day, I would drink a lot of tea, drink a lot of water, and again, I would sometimes have a cup of bone broth, like around dinner time or something like that. And what else? I would do a coffee, like I'd go to Starbucks and I'd get an iced coffee, and I put a splash of heavy cream in it, because again, I'm not stimulating insulin in my body, and I just sip on that through the afternoon. It was great. So, you know, these are the things that we can be doing. So set a reminder. You want to eat 3 hours before bed, and that's going to kick you right through the night anyways, just having that space. If you sleep for 8 hours, you got 3 hours there. You're already at 11 hours where your body is not involved with digesting foods and things like that, and it's going to help with insulin sensitivity. Really good way to start this week off with lesson 1.